Landon Cassill, NASCAR driver and social media standout.
Standout. That is nice.
If you could describe this dinner with racer in one word, what would it be?
Wait, I wanted to say never again.
Yeah, so you just said it.
All right, we'll do it again.
What the hell?
Landon Cassill, NASCAR driver and social media standout. If you could describe this dinner with racers in 2 words, what would it be?
Never again.
Fine.
Nice.
38.
38.
Nice.
And now for Dinner with Racers, presented by
Continental Tire.
with your hosts, Ryan Eversley and Sean Heckman.
Placeholder radio sound. I'm a driver. I'm very angry. This is the sound of a driver on the radio during a race.
What do you think I should order?
Welcome, Dinner with Racers, Season 2. Still going. I'm one of the hosts, Sean Heckman.
I'm Ryan Eversley.
You're the one everybody actually knows about. And Ryan and I are finishing up a 40-day journey across 29 states, driving 12,000 miles in our Honda Odyssey on, what tire?
Continental Tires.
That's the Cross Contact LX20.
That's correct.
So continuing on, sort of halfway through this journey, we were in North Carolina. And when you're in North Carolina, you're going to come across a couple NASCAR drivers. And the one that we really wanted to interview was
The one that you're all hoping we're going to get, you sporty car fans.
Was his official name, his legal name, his birthright
Name, yes.
is Landon Cassill. But as far as we're concerned, his real name is
Lando Calrissian!
Lando!
Ideally dope.
So, just to give you a little bit of a brief career background on Landon. Oh, you're going to get on the 110 South here.
Okay.
Or do that. That's okay. So, here's the thing about Landon. He was part of that wave of short track guys that became development drivers 10 years ago. He actually spent the early part of his career being a development and test driver for Hendrick Motorsports. He actually has the championship rings that Jimmy Johnson earned because he was part of the crew.
Yep.
And he has since gone on to drive for a variety of teams in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, currently a driver for Front Row Motorsports. But here's the thing about Landon. I knew about him just through being in the scene and working for one of the same teams. But what I really didn't do lately is follow Landon on social media.
Right.
Ryan, on the other hand, followed him pretty closely and kept saying, like, dude, you got to follow this guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. So finally I follow Lando. And, yeah, I should have been following him the whole time. I was
Right.
like, yeah, we're getting this guy on because he is
He gets it.
awesome.
Funny enough, Landon's team or driver's shirt for purchase is sold out.
Yeah.
You can't get him. We talk about why, and if you Google Landon Cassill race shirt, you'll see exactly what this guy's all about. He explains to us that it's not sports car racing, but it's sporty car racing.
Yep.
Among other things.
So one thing you might notice about this episode is that it's actually the first and only one of Season 2 that's out of order. And that's specifically because of Landon's social media presence. We wanted this episode to be episode 38. And he'll understand why, as will you when you listen. But anyway, after this episode is over, we're going to cut right back to going in the order that we actually recorded them. But we really wanted this one to be episode 38. But anyway, we ate at the Mellow Mushroom where, what did you eat, Ryan?
I believe Landon and I shared some cinnamon pretzels. It was a pretty good date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty excited about it.
I had the chicken sandwich.
Okay.
And here's the thing about the Mellow Mushroom. So it's like a Tuesday night.
Right.
No one was there.
Yeah, empty.
And so it's literally just us in the corner, sitting by ourselves,
Side by
doing
side.
the like side by side sitting with headsets on, just looking the part of like local AM DJs.
Right.
And Landon calls us out the instant he walks in.
Immediately. Yeah.
So hear that and more. I'd say press play, but you already did. So DJ, hit that.
Continental Tire. Honda Odyssey.
All right, we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, look who it is.
Oh, he's there. All right. Welcome.
What's up, dudes? Good to see you again. Doing all right? Hop in there.
It looks like it's like a crappy live radio.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's
right.
exactly what we're going for.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe.
You figured us out.
Here at Mellow Mushroom for the grand opening.
Well, any minute now, there'll be tens of people. Yeah.
QZ 98.3. We've got the Eagles back on.
We have people come up, like yesterday we had lunch with, or dinner with Justin Marks, and this guy came up and he's like, I don't want to interrupt. And it's just the two of us waiting on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, where can I listen? Like, we're not live. Oh. He was like more disappointed than anything. Yeah. What neighborhood are we in right now? Like what part of
Myers
Charlotte?
Park.
Myers Park?
Mhm.
Okay. What's this area known for?
Rich white people.
Copy. So who do we know that lives near here?
I hope that's not part of the podcast.
That's it. That's
where
it.
we're going.
Yeah.
No, this is the oldest suburb of
Okay.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
and so it's just kind of a lot of old money, blue blood type, Southern people, Southern money,
Right.
and but it's super nice. The school district is nice,
Okay.
and we live in the maids' quarters area of this neighborhood, so
What we call the downstairs.
Right.
Yeah.
We rent a duplex out back. Yeah.
yeah, no, really, I think I'm pretty sure that the street we live on, that the houses were once the maids' quarters for the
Right.
people with money in
Right.
this neighborhood.
That's
so.
awesome.
I like it.
Who else lives here?
There's like a people like racing industry would know.
racing
Yeah,
people.
Jimmy Johnson lives a mile away.
Oh, cool.
Let's go.
And his neighborhood isn't Myers Park though. So it's kind of like there's a few different neighborhoods like Foxcroft and Eastover and Myers Park, and he lives just about a mile away. We don't have a yard like that's
Yeah.
so
Okay.
my house is on 8/100ths of an acre. If you can
Nice.
visualize.
I live
How
in
big
Los
that is.
Angeles. I absolutely can. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
So-
would know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my house is this restaurant is bigger than the entire
Than your
plot of
plot.
land that my house is on. So, if that makes any sense, but we like it. I don't know. It's just that I guess the only downsides we get are like sometimes we just feel like gridlocked inside of our home.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
right,
can't really
right,
get
right.
out.
Like I get kind of like parent guilt when my son like sees a plot of grass and
yeah,
he's
and a
like
playground and the whole bit.
thinks it's the coolest thing ever.
Right.
What is this?
Like,
Now,
what?
do you deliberately not visit people's homes that are nicer, so that he gets no ideas?
I don't know. I feel like we I guess when we're looking at houses and stuff, we tend to, like anybody, it's like, okay, this is our budget. Why are we looking at houses bigger than that or whatever?
Sure.
I think if you're, you said you live in LA, I guess if you're someone that lives in a city, you're just constantly balancing that, like the three most important things when it comes to, buying your home: the
Right.
size of your home, the size of the property, and your budget.
No, it's
so
purely quantity of homeless and the amount of Asian people. And
Right.
that's really
oh, we're gonna get a beer. We're gonna get alcohol.
We get crazy. What are you having?
I've never ordered a beer like with headphones on where I
Right.
can hear myself talk.
Yeah.
I'm like gonna have to what do you have on tap?
if you need a ride, the van is
The
it's
Honda
in-
Odyssey will get
the
you
Honda
home.
Odyssey's in a really good shape to drive
Very
you back
nice.
right now. You might have to ride with this
I
guy.
was gonna say. I like how he hasn't mentioned anything about the cardboard
Yeah.
cutout.
No,
just
it's just
hanging
normal.
out.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
thought that was with the radio promotion for the live remote that we're
For
doing.
the live show here.
It's part of the
WSB 850. We're live from Mellow
Viper.
Mushroom. Right, exactly.
I'm Rocket, and this is Mad Dog. I've got like a fucking bell for no reason. Rocket.
All right.
We're gonna do another free appetizer giveaway here in about 10 minutes after the next commercial break. Here at Mellow Mushroom.
Remember, all kids under 10 eat free.
Rocket.
Okay.
Now I kind of want an air horn.
For those listening at home, you got to understand that there's maybe 10 people in this restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
Are you worried about getting spotted and noticed? Is that ever a thing?
not really.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was up at the lake, like I would
Yeah.
see like crew members, but
Right. People you know. Yeah,
Right.
hey, are you Landon Cassill? And I'd be like, Yeah, getting out my Sharpie, and they're like, I work on the 16 car.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh.
You owe me money. Oh,
Yeah.
nope. I'm Eric Jones. Do you get mistake? Because like this happened to Lally a bunch, and you actually, Sean, who does PR and marketing, actually at TRG for a little while when you were there.
At the same time.
Same
believe it or not,
time.
sports
So
cars,
Shout
yeah.
out to the Racers group.
No,
No,
negative.
God, no.
No way.
Shout out to my lawyer.
GRT, TGR. Was it GRT? No, the
You talk about generic race team.
generic race team. Yes.
Huh.
Who did that?
I don't know. That might have been me. Might have been me.
That was back before iPhone screenshots, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, I may.
I
possess the
remember
assets.
You did not get to see the joy in my eyes when I saw that website.
All right. Shake my hand. We're now buddies.
That just makes it better. Like every time this
yeah.
comes up, you're like, ah.
Yeah.
According to California,
No, according to its full parody.
it is okay.
Completely legal.
It is okay.
State of California approved.
If anybody wants to know what we're talking about, you're gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, go to Jalopnik.
Yeah,
and
Jalopnik has an
They have
article.
like a GRT
Generic
fake
race team. Yeah.
website link thing,
Yep.
and then you'll put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
So Sean once was recognized as Carl Edwards because you guys both had a broken
Yeah.
leg at the
Well,
same
you can
time.
see the similarity, right? The fitness,
Yeah.
the blonde hair,
Right.
the happiness on my eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
But does that happen? Is anyone like, hey, are you Josh Wise? Just because like you guys aren't in the known numbers of the known cars.
Hey, Chad.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty common when you're a.
What do you call yourself?
Middle of the road race
Mid-pack
NASCAR driver.
guy?
Yeah, just a professional race car driver.
Just a
Right.
professional guy trying to make a
just a-
living.
Yeah.
But glad you put a name on it.
I feel like I'm more of like a semi-pro. Semi-pro
like
race
one
car
day,
driver.
one day you'll figure it out,
Right.
You know, and then you'll make it up front with that
You
car.
can legitimately
was-
say you're a front row driver.
Yeah, I am a front row.
Contracted.
Yeah.
Front row.
Yeah,
row.
it's in your contract
row
that you're in the front row.
I was like scheming with my wife on how to use Uber to make a couple extra bucks on my way to the shop on Tuesday mornings. I've gotten, I Trevor Bain. I've gotten Jeff Gordon some.
Right.
This weekend, like, somebody was like, I'd race your car in NASCAR Heat, or the whatever the game is called in there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Which paint scheme do you run? And they're like, the 98. And I was like, drive the 38.
Totes.
Yeah.
Totes.
So should we jump right into it?
Beers
Yeah,
are
let's
here.
get into it.
So speaking of 38,
Let's get with the content.
38.
Let's get with the content.
I need to know because in my head I know it. What's the voice that you hear when you tweet out 38, nice? In my head, I'm almost scared to hear you say it because it's probably
He's
not
built
what
it
I'm
up.
hearing. I built
He's
it
built
up.
it up.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't know if I need to
Should we
ruin
not get
it
that?
or
Okay.
like. should
I literally was like, this might not go well for you, Sean.
Is that like
'cause-
when
Yeah,
you?
never meet your heroes.
Is that like when you read every Harry Potter book as a child and then you watch the first movie and you're like, this isn't what I imagined.
I was like
yeah.
40 when they
This
came
is-
out. So
You're 36.
Have you seen a South Park episode where Kyle's? If I make a few South Park references,
that's
I
all
apologize.
good. That's
Yeah,
all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
Where Kyle's little brother is sleeping with his teacher.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Kind of like that.
Right.
Kind of like that.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty close to what you had. You just had
It
it
was
like a
Yeah, mine's a little
grislier
more
version.
aggressive. I'll okay. So we don't if we
We
don't
need to,
want
like,
to.
tell
I guess
the-
there's a
if we
few
don't wanna
dictations of
that's
it.
what I'm
Like I could say like nice. Like
Okay.
I kind of have
Right,
that. Yeah.
Right. You should probably start over at the
Okay,
beginning
let's
of
say
how you
rather-
know who Landon is.
Okay, so we'll give this story. Now,
'Cause it's pretty
the
funny.
truth is, I know
Right.
Landon from the TRG
Right,
days. Like
but-
we were literally two sides of the same
Disaster.
disaster. Of
I think it's called a dumpster
plot.
fire.
yeah, exactly. Beyond, so that's how I first knew you. But then as we start thinking about season 2 guests and who should we have on, and Ryan brings up what about Landon Cassill, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, yeah,
Like,
not thinking much.
The old TRG driver.
Yeah, well, honestly, that was my first reaction. Like, no, you should check him out on Twitter. And I think I was about a week in to like having you followed, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can hang.
Yeah.
I like this
You
guy.
like-
like we're putting him on the.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
in.
Like
So-
at midnight, I get this text from him. He's like, I get it. And I was like, what? And he's like, the Landon thing, I get it. And I'm like, I go to your feed and I look at it, and you were like, one of the things
I think you were
do,
retweeting grammar.
Yeah,
on
it was
at
the
that
grammar
point.
tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I told him about that. I'm like, you got to just follow. He's really funny, and he messes with people on another level, but
Yeah.
they don't even know it's happening.
Yeah.
And
Trolling has
part.
become mainstream though, so we've got to find a
now
new.
you got to really get into the avenues of
Yep.
it.
Sure.
Yeah. And so Sean's like, yeah, he like screen grabbed one of your like, take for granted
Yeah,
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like
that's
that.
a good one.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the 38 Common Nice is the one that like I don't want to. See, I'm almost terrified of killing Santa. So so I'll do one.
Like
and
this
Ryan
is where
will-
all of my jokes are coming to die right here. like I've built this brand for how many years
and in
of just
one
being
podcast.
lighthearted and having this great personality on Twitter, and everybody's gonna listen to this podcast and they're gonna be like, he's not funny
of people
anymore.
That's
it.
Tens of people will listen to this shit.
This will be the second.
38
episode
nice. That's my car number. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
your car number. How do you find all the 38s that you comment on? Do people come to
Twitter
you?
search, man.
You just Twitter search
Yeah,
38?
just the number 38.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what. That's one of the glorious things about the racing industry, in that they're like behind in technology. Is that like the most basic thing in the world, like Twitter search, which
Yeah.
will find you the answers
Yeah.
to any question
sure.
Yes.
on Twitter
Right.
that your heart desires.
Yeah.
So you can just search "take for granted,"
Yeah.
That's
find
it,
100
yeah.
of them, and off
Yeah,
you go.
and that. Yep, exactly. I'm just passing. I'm just repackaging it and delivering the content to a new
To a whole
new
nother
list
level.
of subscribers. Last night last night was Sunday night. On the plane, I was bored, and so I searched 38 mice.
That right. Yeah, we were looking at that today. I was like, what the
I had to dig for a while, but I found,
You got that.
I found a handful of them.
So that's what you do on the plane while other people like sleep or like engineering notes.
Reading over their notes, writing their race reports.
right. Working
like-
on sponsor proposals.
Oh, hey. I'm laughing out loud, looking at my
Yeah.
phone.
All right. Because our background of our listeners is mostly road racing or sports car racing, give a
Oh.
general synopsis of your career for the average listener. And you're a perfect in between here because you were named GQ's most stylish NASCAR driver.
Yeah, big accomplishment.
Right. I mean, once you
Big,
hit that,
big
it's
deal,
like,
yeah.
all right, hanging it up.
Right.
I'm good. You
I think I was the de facto most
right there, like
stylish.
who will call us back? Yeah.
He likes yeah, who calls back?
But
Like, where'd you get that sport coat? Belk? Yeah, give it to him.
yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, so, well, I grew up in Iowa, and a lot of dirt racing in Iowa. I started out racing go-karts, and one of the coolest things that I appreciate about my racing career, and this is really just spearheaded by my dad, and I don't know why he did this or where his mind went on this, but at a really young age, obviously, my parents saw like this passion for race cars and racing, and it was all things motorsports. I mean, like, I've had a Ford sports car poster with Bill Lester on it, you know, in my
Nice.
in my bedroom, right next to my Coca-Cola Family of Drivers poster.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's pretty much all things motorsports. I was attracted to, so my parents, you know, just got me go-karts instead of baseball gloves. and
Yeah.
kind of that typical start. But the one thing that was a little unique about me, I think, is that I raced everything when I was a kid. So I raced dirt and asphalt go-karts, road course, and ovals.
Right.
And so I ran all of the IKF dirt and asphalt stuff. I ran the IKF road course stuff. I ran WK dirt and asphalt, and then I ran WK Manufacturers Cup back in the day. And I was like, I mean, I wouldn't really say I was like some magical road course racer or anything like that. I had some top fives in the Manufacturers Cup and had some top fives in IKF Grand Nationals, but I won most of my races and stuff on dirt and asphalt ovals.
What did your dad do for a living?
We own a car dealership in
Okay.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa,
Okay, cool.
and we just kind of had our stuff in the trailer, and we would race a dirt race on Saturday night, and then go to Marshalltown, Iowa, and race
Right.
on the
On to the next thing.
road course, you know.
Right.
So, and then by the time I was like 14, 15, I was racing late models, and we ran late models and modifieds pretty much all the time.
And this is like early 2000s when
This is like like 03, 04,
just when that
05.
sort of development era started
Right,
to
so
hit
yeah,
with
by that
NASCAR.
time I'm like, you know, I'm a young teenager, I'm like 14, 15,
Right.
and then, you know, you've got guys, just trying to think of who at that time, like, Todd Cleaver and David Stremme and
Yeah.
like these Reed Sorensen. Like, it's obvious that when you're 18, you're, on the button to get a
over.
ride.
Sure,
So
sure.
I can't really say that when I was 14, I was thinking about that.
Sure.
It's funny because, like, I think when I was 14, I just knew I was going to be a NASCAR driver. I didn't, like, have any idea.
You have no
You know what I
concept
mean?
of
Like,
how
I
big
just-
the world is
Yeah,
at that age.
I didn't
yeah.
have a concept that, like, somebody was going to have to call me or that I was going to have
Right.
to get,
It's
like, an
just- this is what's
opportunity.
gonna
I was just like,
happen.
I'm going to race NASCAR. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to happen, right?
Right, right.
I'm going to win. I'm going to win my first race.
What
and-
else you need?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, through that whole time, we just raced a lot. I think
Right.
that's probably the biggest thing that helped me as a driver.
Sure.
So it was fun. Like, I mean, I would like race my car and wreck it, and then I was just as excited to fix it
rebend it,
as
yeah,
I
work on
was, know.
Right.
But I mean, this is not even a joke. When my senior year of high school, I used to get up before school and go to the shop and work in the shop before school.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would come and eat lunch at the shop, and then I would work in the shop after school. Like,
Yeah,
I would
right.
just
This is what you
I
did.
lived in the race shop.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like a grungy kid in high school, and I was right on the trailing edge of all the money and the opportunities that teams were pouring into young drivers. So I
Yeah.
kind of just caught the boat
Right.
and got a deal with Hendrick when I was 17. And when I went to Hendrick, I was a test driver primarily, but they gave me a handful of Xfinity races, and I won the Rookie of the Year running a part-time schedule. But there really wasn't any more sponsorship for me to keep going,
Right.
and I probably didn't run as good as I needed to really like make it happen for myself.
Okay.
So. But the biggest thing during that period, now you're kind of in this 2007 to 2011 period, is that they kept me employed testing
Right.
for Jimmy Johnson.
And this was exactly during the
Yep.
during the time for Jimmy.
And
so.
and the coolest thing about that was, like, this is when the COT car was brand new, and now the Busch cars were still like the old. They hadn't turned to a COT or anything yet. So the new Cup car was completely different animal than the Busch cars were.
Right.
And so I was testing those Cup cars, and I had thousands of miles in these Cup cars, and there really weren't drivers that were translating from the Busch Series to the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
It's
And
just
you
the
had
cars
all
were
these
so
miles
different,
on it,
and I had
sure.
all these miles. And then at the same time, this, not really a new business model, but this business model of starting and parking
Right.
was around, and paid an awful lot of money to finish last place in a Cup race.
Sure.
And nobody was really, giving these teams a hard time. When I say nobody, I mean nobody at NASCAR was
Right.
really giving them a hard time for just trying to
Showing
make the
up.
race.
Right.
Yeah.
And so some of these teams that couldn't that were struggling to make the race were like looking for drivers. They're like, man, we can't, the drivers
Yeah.
aren't fast enough to make the race. We need somebody that can make the race.
So what is a test driver in NASCAR? Because I mean, running test miles is one thing, but from what I read, it's everything as basic as literally driving in and out for pit stop practice.
I did everything. I mean, it was like, and when I say I did everything, I didn't do everything. I've done everything, right?
Right, right,
Jimmy was a huge piece of all of it, and the other drivers. But like, I was called to do everything from, like you said, pit stop practice to, I mean, we need to put 1,000 miles on this motor, and it's like,
Yeah.
and you go out and you literally just run laps, and they change the tires, and I mean, I've done a simulated race before
Yeah.
by myself,
By yourself,
Right,
right.
right.
So just
By myself.
3.5 hours of
a
just laps.
500-mile race.
Does that include cautions?
What's that?
Does that include cautions? Like, are
Yeah,
you-
well, they didn't really throw random cautions like it was a caution in the middle of a run. We
Yeah.
just did it fuel run after fuel run
Okay.
after fuel run. And the worst part is it was at Rockingham
Right.
where the
wow,
tires
yeah.
wear out so fast.
yeah.
And like tire fall off is a really fun thing, and we always talk about it, and like
Right.
cars slide around.
Yeah.
But it's really not when you're by yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, it's cool when
'Cause
you
your
have
lone job
cars
is
to
not to
race
crash,
and
exactly.
stuff. But like when you're by yourself and the car falls off 3 seconds over a 40-lap run,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Feel like a jackass.
yeah, and you're like, hey, Landon, you corded the right rear again.
Yeah. Like,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get this thing over with.
Right.
But that was literally like pace laps, green flag,
Right.
Right.
40-lap run, come
Well,
in.
that's the thing is like because of the testing rules, I don't know what they were in like 2007, but I assume the testing rules weren't too different in the sense that you couldn't go to a lot of the big cup tracks, right? So you're going to these random ass small places.
Yes, I've gone through that. I've gone through all of it pretty
All
much.
the- all the
because
different
at some
rules,
point,
right.
there's been times that we've been able to. When I first went in, I was still young enough. I wasn't a licensed driver at
Sure.
all,
Right.
and so we took a ARCA car to some of the bigger tracks and
Copy.
things like that.
Yeah. He just used
I've done
quote fingers.
I've done a lot of ARCA tests at places like Pocono in Michigan and Kansas and things like that. And then the rules got stricter, and we've tested at Milwaukee, and we've tested at Gresham, and we've tested at North Wilkesboro.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had cool experiences too with it. Where like, we did a test one time at Milwaukee where we did nothing but qualifying runs
right.
for 2 days.
Well, that's
That's
gotta be
gotta be
fun.
Q runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2
yeah,
days.
yeah.
That was
Sticker
it.
up. Sticker up. Sticker
Yep.
up.
And
Yeah.
we cycled the tires, so we had like 4 sets of tires that you would use at a time, and so you'd run stickers for 4 runs in a row,
Yeah.
and then your next 4 runs would be 1 run on those
Right.
tires, and so we did 2 days of worth of this short track, flat track testing,
Right.
and then the very next week the team went to Richmond and they qualified 1, 2, 3 at Richmond,
Yeah.
and it
Nice.
was like.
Okay.
Oh,
Sweet.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I think something. And then I've had like I had a cool experience one time, and this just shows like how much I admire like Chad Knaus and his vision and just their intensity. At the time, he called me at like 7 o'clock in the morning one morning and was like, "Where you at?" I'm like, "I'm in bed
Yeah.
in Charlotte." And he was like, "Can you get to North Wilkesboro right now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "We need you to do a test. We got something that we want to try. It's for Loudon this weekend," which, the 2 tracks are so different, but they had something they were going to try, and they thought they could figure it out at North Wilkesboro.
Right,
So we
right.
went there, and I got there, 10 o'clock in the morning. The hauler had just gotten there. It was like the 911 emergency
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
And
Which isn't a thing, by the way.
yeah, it's not really a thing. Like, they don't like do that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
and that might even be a thing of the past. They don't really
Right.
do that kind of thing
Sure,
anymore.
sure.
But we did this test, and I was there till 5 or 6 in the afternoon. Chad even came to the test at the end of the day, and they were asking questions, and it was some front end geometry that we were working on, and
Yeah.
it was like, all right, cool, thanks, man, thanks for your help, that's great. And they went and won at Loudon that weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like running the geometry that we
Yeah.
decided to run,
Yeah.
and it was like, man, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's got to be frustrating to not be the race driver, but when you see the results,
Exactly.
you still know you're a part of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, a word about proving ground testing.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done any of
I
that?
have. Yeah.
So have you done like the circle, or is it straight line testing?
Straight line.
The proving ground, some of the proving ground testing that I've done has been on a 5-mile circle,
Yeah.
and it's like a bank, like a dish.
Progressive,
So you kind
right.
of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So you're just sitting there.
and you get pretty bored,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
but you're going 200 miles an hour
Right,
out there.
right.
You're just wide open on this,
Yeah.
on this circle. But like the car will just sit. It'll find like a lane,
Yeah.
and it'll just go there. You can let go of the wheel, and it'll just stay right on the track. And if the wind's blowing a certain direction, it'll go up like a
Right.
couple feet on one side of the track, and it'll come back down a couple feet on the other side of the track. And of course, like first few times you do it, you're comfortable. You're like, I let go of the wheel a bit. Like, oh man, okay, that was cool.
Right. Right.
And then it's like,
Both hands.
I wish we
both
could
hands
show
on
your
the wheel
face
for a
right
minute,
now.
and then it's like, grab your phone and you're like, take a picture, and then like I would
It's the Tyrannosaurus arms that are selling me on this.
the expert level was if you let go of the wheel and close your eyes for a few seconds,
Oh, at 200 miles an hour.
and 200 miles an
All
hour,
right.
and
In a
I
Hendrick
never
car.
really
Yeah.
I never really timed myself.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I could hold my eyes closed for like 4 or 5 seconds.
That's still,
Wow.
I could.
Like-
Yeah.
No way.
And there's only like a guardrail,
Right. And then desert.
You remember tandem drafting? Like, you remember the tandem
Yeah,
drafting
yeah,
at super
yeah.
speedways? We tested tandem drafting.
Right.
That's probably the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Because it's not.
With
like-
Justin Allgaier pushing me.
Yeah.
Which he did a good job. He was a good pusher.
But it's just the two of you
Just
in
the
the
two
middle
of
of the
us, and
desert
he's like-
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have turned me, which,
Right.
happened 8 times in every tandem drafting race that ever happened.
Right.
Yeah.
If he would have, like, turned me and sent me back into the guardrail,
Yeah.
It'd be
Not
about
a
time.
safer barrier.
Yeah.
Right.
A guardrail.
It's a guardrail.
we would be
Yeah.
having this
Nothing on the other side.
conversation via, like, a
Like a push
Stephen
pad,
Hawking-
a
yeah, it
push
would've been
pad.
like-
Yeah. Right.
38. Nice.
I don't know if that would have ever happened.
That's what it would sound like. 38. Nice. What?
The next series.
That's how it would sound.
38. Nice. Yeah. One of the things I noticed about you on social media was that you interact with a group of the same kind of fans that are like, they actually like actively cheer for like you or Mike Bliss. You know, like these guys that are in the
underdogs.
The underdogs.
the
that's,
underdogs.
That's the term.
Does sporty car racing have that like group?
Here's the problem. The difference
they
is
used to.
Like
sports
I'm
car
rooting for
racing.
Dr. Johnson.
No.
No one's ever doing that.
Lawyer Rick's gonna get it this weekend. Yeah, no, it's the difference is like there are lower tier programs, but everybody can buy the same car. In fact, in some classes, you can only buy a car from a manufacturer. You can't build your own.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as you have $500,000 and I have $500,000, we can both get the same awesome Ferrari.
Yeah.
But how we run it after that is what dictates the pace.
So I definitely have a group of fans that like really understand that
Yeah,
and understand how the
exactly.
sport works.
Right.
And I think those are the people that I, can really team with on a weekend and just enjoy
Right.
the race weekend, enjoy telling the story,
Sure.
enjoy ragging on, the privileged class.
Right.
Would they turn on you if you started winning?
No,
way.
they would
No
own
way.
it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
they would be. I think they would join in on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you go to LandonCassill.com, it's the best website I've ever seen.
It's very elaborate.
It's
detailed.
a really nice photo of you in nice clothes. There's a link that says, follow me on my social media feeds. I'll keep it interesting. And then there's a for sale link to the greatest racing T-shirt
Of all time.
of all time. Your T-shirt. What car is it? Is
It's
it
a
your
Ford
first? Is it your
Festiva.
first road car?
It was my high school car. Yeah, Ford Festiva.
It's like a 1990.
Yeah.
It was an '89. I'm sorry, an '88. The odometer stopped counting after 80,000 miles, so
Right.
there's no telling how many miles were actually on it. It was a 2-door with a hatchback, manual transmission.
Viper Red.
No, it was. I'm sure it was black from the factory, but it was faded to gray.
Nice.
And I was like the guy that gave rides home from school in high
Right.
school.
Right.
Like people loaded up in that car
Right.
on my way out of the parking lot. Like people
Yeah.
just run up to it and like open the door and be like, "I need a ride home."
Yeah.
Right.
I changed the oil in it one time, the day that I got it. It was my brother's car, and we changed the clutch in it. Had to cut the motor mounts off the front because they were rusted out so bad.
Solid.
So the motor mount goes over the sway bar, and
Yeah.
so we had to, just take a torch and cut it
Right.
because you have to pull the motor out to get the transmission off and then change the clutch. So we did all that. We had a few extra nuts and bolts, but that was no big deal.
Yeah.
Put it back in. Of course, the motor mount is just sitting there,
Completely
detached again, so the engine would twist up under
Yeah,
torque
right.
and then slam down on the sway bar.
Right.
That was a pretty cool feature. Changed the oil, got fresh oil in it that day, and then from that point on, I would just put like fresh race oil, so like kind of
Just
like a
little top-
lawnmower,
just
you
little
know, you
top,
just
yeah.
like
Yep.
check the oil levels, and it was good. So I would just kind
Good to
of
go,
top
sure.
it off or whatever. The fuel gauge only went to halfway, and then it would just drop completely. So you kind of had to like mentally mileage it out, because remember the odometer didn't work either.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't.
No
So-
way of knowing where you're at.
Yeah.
So there's really no so if it took, if I was driving a lot or whatever and it got to halfway in like 3 days, then I knew I could drive for a couple more
Right.
days. But
Sure.
we ran that thing out of gas so many times.
But it's so small, you just push it down
Yeah,
the street,
well, so my
right?
best
Yeah.
friend Danny had a Ford Tempo, and he would push me to the gas station,
Like bumper to bumper?
bumper to bumper. Yeah, push me to the gas station.
And this is now your 2016 T-shirt.
So all of that said, we took, and this is one of my favorite things about this T-shirt that not a lot of people understand, is that in NASCAR, there's so many licensing rules,
Yeah,
sure,
and like,
sure.
they've got the trust, and NASCAR licensing, NASCAR corporate people are my friends, and I love them, and I hope they're listening to this.
Believe it in.
So that I can tell them that it's just annoying and it's screwed up, but I understand that it's a big business and Dale Jr. and Danica and all that and everything. But I can't just make something with a race car on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
You know?
is kind of crazy.
So yeah, I can't put my
Yeah.
race car. And to be fair, like I can't I wrote my team into it, and they need to approve stuff,
Yeah.
and my sponsor
Right.
needs to approve stuff, and it's like I don't want to deal with any of that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I just want to get stuff out to my fans, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So we basically took this image of this car, this Ford Festiva, took the Ford logo off it, and put a 38 on it, but it's not in the style of my
Not the
38
font.
number.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snap Fitness is a really close company that sponsors me, and I work with them
So
close.
that's
So
okay
they
to leave
approved it
on.
in a second,
Yeah,
right?
That's good. Okay.
And so we got Snap Fitness on it, but like we got all this branding on it that is clearly my shirt, but it doesn't have any like
It's-
branding, no
right.
NASCAR branding, no anything.
So
Yeah.
on board.
So it's so like bootleg and everything. It's really
It's
cool.
the best NASCAR
Yeah,
shirt. It's the best racing shirt of all
by
time.
far.
So I'm thinking
How's
one of my
how's your stock? So LandonCassill.com.
what's that?
So think about the holidays. LandonCassill.com. How quickly can somebody get this if they order?
You can't get it. So
Oh.
basically, I made this shirt, and I made only so many of them,
Okay.
and we kind of hyped it up on social media. People started making memes of it on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
We
So
saw.
like you saw, you
Absolutely.
people were photoshopping the images on
Right.
it, like putting
Yeah, yeah.
it on Kanye West. Or
Yeah, I saw
the
that.
president. Yeah.
the president, Lewis Hamilton, had a couple. My favorite one was Samantha Bush
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
and Brian Scott's wife, because they have like their fashion blogs, you know.
Right,
So
right.
like that was my favorite one. I can't remember who did that one, but so yeah, we got a ton of hype on social media, and I launched it. Like I was like, okay, I'm doing this shirt, I'm doing this shirt, I'm doing this shirt, and then
Right.
2 days later, I said, okay, it's a limited time, and they're selling out, and I'm telling you, they're selling out, and they sold out in 2 days.
Wow.
And I cut them off, and I made a promise to all the people that bought that I'm not making any more.
Ah, Sean is very disappointed.
And
my-
I
my day is
physically
over.
do not have any. Like,
Sean was gonna make a pillow out of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's sad.
so you're gonna have to get one off the resale market or
Oh,
something. I've
okay.
heard it's
Oh,
like
I bet there's
where-
one on eBay.
buying
Yeah.
Yeezys.
Yeah,
I
They're-
mean, if
exactly.
you're a
probably-
real fan of our free podcast.
Wait. What if? Okay, keep going.
Yeah, that's
Keep-
it. I'm
keep
saying if
going.
you're a real fan of our free podcast,
You
you
would-
give back.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you'd recreate one, because I think that's what we should
I'm not
do.
stealing his image.
No, we should do a bootleg version of his bootleg version.
Oh, I
a
can do
bootleg,
that.
yes.
From like my 1982 Honda Accord that I had
Right.
growing up.
Yeah,
That's
but it's
awesome.
a Sean Heckman.
It was a Honda Accord,
There
so
you
it would
go.
work.
Yeah, it's in. It's
So
okay.
what I want to do though in my winter project is I want to start making more bootleg projects and stuff. I have a
There's a thing here, but go on.
I have a whiteboard at my house.
Right.
I have a 4
With,
by
like,
6 foot
Post-its.
whiteboard in my office.
Yeah.
And and that's where I just have all my like stuff that I have out there. And over the past month, my whiteboard has taken up the space of my whiteboard has been taken up by bootleg ideas. And so I'm kind of got this punch list I'm working through. And,
What
and I've
do
got
you
to,
think? What do you think? This won't air until
November 18th at
something.
the earliest. Yeah.
But people might not hear it till later. What's your?
they're never gonna hear it.
No one's gonna listen to this. We said that last year. It backfired.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, you can't say those things. What item are you most excited about on the bootleg list? Is it the fanny pack, koozie?
So
Cufflinks.
I would say it's not. It's an indirect item. I'm the most excited about getting a cease and desist letter, and that is
We're
gonna
gonna get
be-
along real well.
And that is what's gonna go on a shirt. The letter itself.
Can I give you
So-
a company?
What the
Lego. Lego.
Lego?
That's a very fast way to
Okay,
get
good
there.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lego.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping for a cease and desist letter from somebody,
Right.
and so that the cease and desist
That
letter can
becomes the
go on a
shirt.
shirt. Yes,
I love it.
that's so.
I like it.
I know we're
Yeah.
kind of 2 degrees separated, but that's what I'm looking for.
That's fantastic.
So tell me about the podcast.
In terms, are you starting your own?
Yeah,
Is that
just
what
like-
it is? There should be a late.
Well, I've been talking. That's been a big.
There it
There,
is.
so every
That's
time we
been a
start, there's
big
at least
thing.
6 people that come out of our podcast that start one.
Yeah.
Like last season, there was like 5 different ones that showed
Yeah,
up.
right away. Like, no
Yeah.
one mentioned this while
They
we were
always hit
doing
up.
it.
They always hit up Ryan for some sponsorship contacts and me about equipment.
Yeah. Like,
So
what should I use?
yeah, that's
no.
dude.
Today we got one. Hey, what headsets are those?
That's the thing is,
Nothing.
if you email me.
Do you tell them like, look, man, it's not about the equipment, it's about the content.
Oh
It's
no, because I know
about-"
we suck. So that's not an issue at all.
That wouldn't fly.
So first of all, yes,
Okay.
I have really been contemplating
Well,
a podcast
we
over
actually-
the past 4 months. I'm not sure.
We have a pitch for you actually,
Oh God.
and it includes NASCAR Chasm, and then the 3 of us, and maybe Justin Marks is like a operations manager because he's kind of like a little
Yep.
bit more
Yeah.
mature. We fix racing. the four of us as we see fit.
Oh, that's.
Because we sat down with NASCAR Chasm the other day in Indy for lunch.
Did you do a podcast with him?
Yeah, and it was
That's
awesome. It was so fun.
Dude, he's even better in real life.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
he is
yeah.
on the
Sean had
internet.
never met him before, but he's obviously familiar with him, and so he was like, "I don't know what we're getting. We'll just go for it." I'm like, "It's gonna be fine." And then it was fun.
It's
You know,
really
we just
good.
laughed the whole time.
Yeah.
But then he pointed out that you did the Mystery Science Theater thing
did,
with him or
yeah,
whatever.
yep.
And Sean's like, "Yeah, we got to get the four."
I think we could form a super group, the four of us.
Super
We
group.
could form a super group. Like we'll put our rings in,
Right.
and like
A
and,
rainbow
like, light
goes shooting
comes up,
straight
yeah.
up. Yeah,
A rainbow shoots up for some reason. Skittles come down.
We will
They all
most
form
certainly
enough.
piss off all of the superiors in our industry.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We could easily make sure we get banned for life.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
done.
You're out. You're out.
I don't have a career.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good.
So the structure of your podcast, like
Yes.
what?
There
how-
isn't one.
Like, or what's the what? It,
You're-
like
Stop.
the business model? Not the business model. I don't care about the business model. What is the podcast? Like, tell me. Just tell me about it.
Okay. Well, you can go to dinnerwithracers.com.
Uh huh.
Everything you need to know.
Got it.
Yeah. 2008, you get into it with Bobby Hamilton Jr. What happened?
So I guess that you'd have to tell that story properly. You'd have to rewind. Well, to tell that story properly, you'd have to have Bobby Jr. here. But
He's never going to be
so
on.
much better to have my side of the story only.
Right.
He
Can really
thought
load
that
it
I
up.
wrecked him at Nashville,
Yeah.
which was total BS.
Yeah.
I think he thought that I chopped him, and then he cut a tire from it and hit the wall.
Okay.
I do not remember chopping him. You know, now that I think of it like that, though, I must have.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a light bulb go off.
Yeah, but
Like he
like
literally
8
was like,
years later.
I don't remember chopping him,
That time
but
I turned
maybe
over.
that's the point. Maybe I chopped him and never knew that he was there.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I guess regardless, he cut his tire and hit the wall and blamed it on me. And then 3 weeks later, or however long later, I qualified on the pole in
Right.
New Hampshire, and we had to change our engine for some reason. So I had to start at the back, and I was just coming up through the field. We had a really fast car. And I went to pass him, and I passed him clean, and he just, like, crossed me over and just hooked me.
Just
and
wrecks
wrecked
you.
me.
Yeah.
Just flat out wrecked me. And that was crappy, and I'm not one to, like, I don't really, like, come unglued or anything, and I didn't come unglued then. But I waited a few weeks, and there was a green-white checkered finish at Memphis, I think, another short track. And I wasn't planning anything,
Right.
but it just so happened that I was behind
He was
him
there, right.
coming to the checker. So it was like, I'm not really causing a caution or whatever, and I just, like, hooked him. And it was, I
He
think
has
it
to
was
know
one of
it's
those
coming.
impulsive things
Yeah.
where it's just like, it's not really right to wreck someone on purpose, but it just
But I'm
felt
gonna.
right. And if he's listening, I'm sure he is. He,
No, he's not.
I'm sorry. But he approached my vehicle
Right.
after the race on pit road, and I got the double bird from his wife.
Classy.
good.
Classy.
She gave me the doubles.
Like a lady.
Now
just
is,
like a
is
lady.
your wife ready to go? If something
She will
happens,
double
now,
bird.
she's
if
ready for the
somebody-
double birds.
Yeah, I think
okay.
she will double bird.
You've
for
taught
me.
her. You're like,
in
here's
the
here's what
name
we're
Will
doing.
she slap Max Pappas?
She will. You know, if she's willing to double bird, I'm sure she'll do anything
Okay.
Right.
to defend my honor.
So the wife.
So
Throws up-
I've got wife double birding me,
Correct. Yeah.
and then he comes to the window net, and like
Family affair.
I think he was saying something to me, but his shield was down, and his head was just nodding like a bobblehead. And like he reached his hand in, like I was still buckled and everything. I was just sitting there, and like he reached his hand in, and when he reached his hand in, like I kind of like reached at his helmet, and then he backed away,
Okay.
and that was it. And then you know, they interviewed me, and I think I said something about the Hawaiian good luck sign, and that was about it.
Nice. Nice.
All right.
But then it never got squashed later. There was never like a hey
Nah,
man.
not really. I mean, he
Okay.
just talked a lot of smack, and well, actually, now I just remembered. I can't remember. I think it was after that. I can't remember if he called me or something. I can't remember. There might have been an exchange.
Right.
And
He-
that was the point that I decided that phone calls after racing incidents is the dumbest thing in the world.
Oh, this is
So,
a new theory, actually.
I do not partake in
Why is that?
post race phone because I think it's stupid. This is a tough business,
Right.
And, you know, you just, you
So-
reap what you sow out there. And it's like, if something happens, I mean, like, every once in a while, like, I'll text with somebody, but not, like, over some wreck. You know, like,
Right.
you watch the Cup race in Talladega.
Yeah.
I want to refer to this weekend, but I know the listeners are
Yeah,
in
yeah,
November.
it's whatever.
But the Cup race in Talladega, like, I came across David Reagan's nose because I thought I was clear. I wasn't. Cut across him. He kind of hooked me, and I almost wrecked. And then I saved it. Nothing happened, right?
Right.
Everybody's safe. So, like, David and I texted after the race, and I was like, thanks. And he was like, yeah, I thought we were all going to die. And I was like, yeah, LOL. But, like,
yeah.
but like I don't, when you get in a confrontation with somebody, like I'm done texting, I'm done calling.
But so
Right.
is it because you're at a race, these things are going to happen, get over it?
Yeah,
or is it more like
exactly.
you'll settle it later, there's no reason?
I'm sorry.
Right.
No, it's okay. My spotter said you were clear.
Right.
No, please don't be mad at me.
Who's like the king of? We can bleep it, but who's the most likely to do something shitty or stupid and then send you oh hey man, because I have like a couple of guys I race with that are always a problem, but then afterwards they're like oh man, it was just hard racing, and you're like, no asshole, you suck.
Yeah.
Like that's the 10th time, won't be 11th.
I don't know.
Let's
I
get
don't-
some shit talking.
I
Here.
don't
How much
know.
of a douche is Joey Logano? Let's just get it out there.
Joey, I don't know. He's all right.
We have no. We were talking about earlier. We're like, Joey's just like, he's all
I
right.
think we're good. Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joey's all right. But that's the problem. There's no douche. I mean, of course Kyle Busch is a douche. He knows it. He needs to be. Like,
That's his
That's
place.
his- that's
That's his
his-
place.
people
yeah.
love him. Like, he's polarizing. Like, I love him for it.
Right.
I think that's the best thing about him. Last year he got all toned down and went and won a championship, but that's no fun.
Right. Be a dick.
You and Danica have had a couple of run-ins.
We have, yeah. Everybody has though with Danica.
Yeah.
Okay,
It seems to be
fair
like
enough.
a weekly
It's a
kind of
theme.
thing.
Is she the type to confront you? Like, we don't have to go there. if
He
you
doesn't
don't wanna.
text anymore. He said he doesn't
Yeah,
text.
I'm just saying, like,
I don't know.
she could pull the move, or she can confront you, and like, what are you gonna do about it? You can't push back.
Danica's funny because she like comes unglued.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can literally like you'll be at Martinsville, right? And like, you're just racing hard and you hit her a few times and it's like, I didn't mean to hit her, And
Right.
it's like you hit her a couple more and it's like, I didn't mean to hit her, like, but we're all bottled up. And you get next to her and she's like got her middle finger out and she's like cutting you onto the curve
Right.
and then like pounds you on a restart, pulls up next to you under caution.
Like,
Right.
let it go.
Her spotters, like comes and tells your spotter that she's mad and you're like, clearly, and I'm just like, dude, we're at Martinsville, chill out before you kill somebody.
Right.
Right.
But she definitely comes unglued.
But then is
But
she?
I think it works for her because she also is not afraid to wreck your ass.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So like I just avoid getting crappy with Danica because it's
you know it's
kind of
gonna
like
come to haunt
you know whether
So-
you're right or not about it, she is gonna come back after you, and I
Sure.
just don't want to deal with it.
When Lally was racing the stock cars, he and I were roommates, and he would get in a wreck with, like he would get caught up in someone else's wreck
Mhm.
and then hit like Jimmy Johnson or something, and then the tweets would like come in, like, you wrecked Jimmy,
Yeah.
piece of shit, like going crazy, and you're like watching, and it's like he gets wrecked, has no control, gets thrown into someone else. It's like a Daytona or something,
Mhm.
and then like the fans are singling him out in it. And I was like, man, this is crazy how much hatred there is.
Mhm.
And it's not even his fault. It's just like, I'm mad my guy got wrecked. And now this dude's there. He's the target. That had to have happened when you the Danica thing, because she was all pissy about it.
Yeah,
on-
Danica fans, for the most part, will like. There's a lot of Danica fans out there that do not care about what happened.
Right.
If you were involved in something with Danica, you are awful, and
Yeah.
she deserves better, and those are fun. And like junior fans, a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Like those really passionate fans, they will defend their driver to no end. I can't wait until the day that I have like that level
Well,
of loyalty. But like
you have the loyalty. You just don't have the
base,
size
yeah.
yet.
Like we need to like reach far and wide.
Keep selling those shirts, man.
The the best though, I had an incident with Kevin Harvick earlier this year,
Oh, okay.
and he like ran his mouth about me because I I think I like turned the 98 car. I turned somebody coming to the checkered at Talladega in the spring.
Yeah.
And he got caught up in the wreck. And of course they interview Harvick. They don't interview me after the wreck. And Harvick's like, yeah, the 38 was trying to wreck somebody all day, and he finally did it. And
Right.
And it was stupid because if anybody can remember, Harvick was the one that caused the wreck that almost killed Austin Dillon at Daytona and sent him into the grandstands.
Right.
Right, in the same context, right? Coming to the checkered, hook somebody by the left rear, causes a big wreck. So, like, you know, Harvick's, but he's, of course, spouting off on me for doing the same thing. And I'm like, you know, I got called by reporters, and they're asking me, you know, Harvick said this about you, and what do you think? And I was like, Harvick's just thin-skinned, like, he just needs to get over it.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I said anything more about that. And there's only a few Harvick fans that were like, oh, Landon, you don't, you know, shut up or whatever. But, like, a lot of people were like, yeah, you know, well.
He's got a point.
You are still, you're younger than I thought you were. Like, I thought we were the same age. You're 27?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've
hell.
been, right. The average age of, like, the go-to NASCAR winner right now, if you take out, like, well, not that Chase or Austin have won yet, but, like, the main guys, they're all kind of the same age. You know, like Boyers and Jimmys and
Like
Gordons.
almost 40 or whatever.
Yeah. And
13 years away from that.
right. You still have a long way to go, and you've now proven to be a development driver of the highest caliber. You have this is a cool thing. I don't know if road racing fans wouldn't know this. Most likely, I didn't know this. You have championship rings from the years the 48 won.
Yep.
Because you were the test driver, and everybody on the team, including the guy that helps develop that car, gets a ring, and you're a part of that victory.
Yeah.
That's so cool. They don't do that in sports car racing.
Yeah, that's cool. No, it's a big place though. It's a big team.
Yeah. That's a
They get
really
big rings.
really neat thing that they do over there.
Really big team.
You
Really
have
nice
those-
things.
You have those. Shut up. You have those rings, so you can. What's the game plan? Like you're not here to just run around in the middle seat, in 28th place or whatever. You're
Right.
trying to get into one of these top teams. How do you do it? What's the goal?
I mean, I think, honestly, as hard as it is to do, like, I need to win a race somehow.
Right.
Whether it's at Talladega or, you know, we surprise somebody. I mean, Regan Smith won the Southern 500 driving for Furniture Row before Furniture Row was who they are now.
Yeah.
And he didn't get enough credit for it. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why the doors didn't open for him, but, you know, if I can be with the 38 team for a couple years and or even long term and build them into a winning team.
Yeah.
But, you know, build them to a point where they're way more competitive than they are now. And somebody sees that in me and sees that I was a part of that development.
Right.
And gives me the credit for, and I'm not asking for all the credit, because I don't want that to come out the wrong way, but more like sees it like, look, this guy is capable of building something, or this guy is capable of taking something to the next level, whether it's a 30th place team to being 20th or 20th to being 10th. And it you know, and that could be in the form of a sponsor that says, hey, we feel like we're overpaying for what we're getting at, you know, championship team XYZ, and we're gonna fund your team, and that elevates Front Row Motorsports to being able to develop our own technology and do the things that all the big teams are doing.
Right.
Or it's a big team owner that says, you know, Roger Penske or whoever. And I do feel like the value that I have in my career and as a driver is that at some point somebody's going to look at me and be like, okay, this guy's been in the garage for 10 years. He's did all this testing. He's been driving cup cars for this long.
Yeah.
He does a darn good job. And wait, he's 29?
Right.
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 You know, he's still, I'm not trying to get like scientific, but like the statistical prime of a Sprint Cup driver is age 35.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I'm still 7 years away from that.
Right.
So, I mean, shoot, I've got, you know, I guess with that said, it could be, you know, 30, 31, who knows?
Yeah.
So there's still going to be young drivers coming up, though, and they're going to get opportunities at
Right.
Hendrick and at Penske and at wherever. But one of those teams is going to be in a position to say, you know, hey, this is the demographic of driver that we need. So,
Right.
or like I said, it's going to be a sponsor that I've known personally for 5 years, and
Right.
they've, you know, I've been here for so long, and they finally say, you know what, we like what you're doing at Front Row,
Right.
and we're going to support Front Row. And
Yeah.
We love those T-shirts.
yeah, we love,
We
those
love
t-shirts.
that
Getting on
bootleg
this.
T-shirt. Yeah.
We don't like that podcast that you did, though.
Marty Smith, we had breakfast with him this morning at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Which meant we had to be there at 6. Which
Yeah,
meant we had
I
to
have a
leave at
question
5.
for Marty Smith. Is your accent real?
It's real.
It's pretty
Yeah.
authentic.
Is it
I'll give
real?
him that.
He gets a lot of grief about
Yeah.
it, apparently. So, Marty Smith asked.
Dang, I thought that was original.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.
Maybe next time, kiddo.
You're out of our super team.
You're out. You're off
You're
the
out.
show.
Yep.
So you know how Steve Luvender has makes Twitter bots and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get him to make a Marty Smith tweet generator.
Okay.
We
So
can work on that.
take all of Marty's tweets, but
Mhm.
then generate them into one tweet at a time.
Yeah.
Because Marty has so many good big words that are
They could just become
passion
Sure.
Yeah.
and because he likes to drive home just emotion into one single word. That's something that he tends to do.
He used one this morning. I had no idea what he said. I
You're
was
sitting
like,
there with a thesaurus.
I'm gonna Google that later.
I don't even know what that means.
Landon Cassill, how are you still racing? Because you're a kid from the driver development era where they just threw contracts at everyone, and all of those kids went away, and you're still here. How? Why are you not David Rudiman or, what's his face, Reed Sorensen, Todd Cleaver? Am I saying that right?
Todd Cleaver, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Parker Kligerman.
I don't know. I mean, I think one thing, and I guess I hate to speak for those drivers because I don't know the positions
Sure.
that they were in their careers
Well,
or
we're forcing
or
you
what-
to, so.
decisions they made or didn't make, but I do feel like one of the recurring themes that I hear from drivers are, well, I don't want to do anything unless it's good equipment or unless I have a shot at winning or unless
Right.
I have and people just wait and wait and wait, or they think something's going to come along, and the next thing you know, they haven't driven a car in 2 years.
Yeah.
And they're just that generation has surpassed them. And,
Right.
I just was in a position, I'm,
Would other guys have passed the testing opportunity because it wasn't a race seat?
no, I don't think people wouldn't have passed testing opportunities, so that was probably a big piece that kind of that was maybe the foundation for it. But I would say the biggest reason I got full-time in the Cup Series is because I was willing to start in park.
Yeah.
And I was willing to drive, for TRG
Yep.
for free,
Ooh.
whether I wanted to or not.
That's safe.
Man, this is a reoccurring theme
Huh.
among everybody that ever worked there.
So which chassis is yours?
Yeah, exactly. Go claim my car. Drive for for teams in Starton Park. I was willing to do that when a lot of drivers were like, "Well, I'll never do that. I need to be in good equipment because I don't want to make myself look bad."
Right.
But at the same time, I was building up a reputation of people that were like, "Wow, he qualified 15th at Michigan in a Starton Park car.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that's a real story. I qualified 15th in a Starton Park car. It had a Hendrick engine in it. I
Right.
mean, it wasn't crappy equipment. Now, obviously, it wasn't the most gorgeous,
Right.
brand new top of the line car, but it had a Hendrick engine. I
Yeah,
mean,
right,
that's
yeah.
a pretty good thing to have at Michigan.
Right.
But if somebody gets hurt, you're freshest on their mind because you were at the track the week before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I got my first ride from James Finch in Phoenix Racing, Bill Elliott was, they were kind of running him out, and it was time to find a new deal, and that's who I did a lot of starting parking for.
Yeah.
And so I just was willing to put in the work. And for guys like Todd Cleaver, he may have never gotten that opportunity to even put in the work.
Right.
Or maybe he just didn't want to. I don't know. I kind of was in a spot where my family owns a car business in Iowa, and that could be a really good business for me to go home and be a part of the family business, and I look forward to doing that someday. And I think when I was in that time period of my career, I was like, not yet.
Right.
Right.
I want to be a professional race car driver
Right.
for a little bit longer.
Right.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be a professional race car driver and sit on the couch.
You don't have to answer this, but just to compare to a sports car driver gets a top level sports car guy probably makes the low end of six figures ish. Where does a guy in your position kind of fit in that spectrum?
Millions.
Millions.
Mm.
10 million a year.
Got that
Like, you
NASCAR
don't have
money.
to- you don't-
You got that NASCAR money.
That NASCAR money. I'm sure you guys talk about NASCAR money over in sports cars.
We're not stupid. It's not us. It's
Another
the fans.
driver that has a pretty decent sense of humor is Ryan Truex.
Okay.
Okay.
I call him Ryan Truex Jr. And he sent me a snap the other day of like a shopping bag at PacSun, and he was like getting some shopping in, and I just so happened had been shopping at Barney's.
What a douche.
And so I snapped him back a bag from Barney's, and I was like, "Hey," and he was like, "Damn cup driver."
Got that NASCAR money.
NASCAR money. Oh man, it is a good living being a professional driver. I mean, it's just so different for each deal though,
Sure.
because I mean, I drove for BK Racing, and I was contracted to make a certain amount of money, and it didn't pay me.
Right.
And they have their reasons, and and then you got deals like the TRG deal where it's like they had a reputation for not paying their drivers.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't just the drivers.
Well, right.
The media department didn't do so well.
So the media department got paid other ways.
And then you have deals where the drivers are bringing sponsors to the deal, and they take all the money off the top. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's drivers at my level running whatever 25th or whatever or 20th every week,
Right.
and they brought the sponsor. I mean, shoot, as long as the sponsor is enough to pay for what the team wants, you can
It's yours after that.
You can do it.
Yeah,
every
I
day.
mean,
Yeah, sure.
however your deal works.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
probably making $2 million. I don't know.
Right.
Sure.
So front row is cool though, because Bob Jenkins is an owner that underwrites the program himself, and he owns a lot of Taco Bell franchises, and
Yeah.
racing is his hobby, and
Right.
he's built this team, and they do have a lot of sponsorship with Loves and CSX.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so we have some other sponsorship that kind of comes in and pieces it all together, and he has a budget that the team kind of operates on, and it's a modest budget for a team, and he has a certain amount that I'm sure.
Sure. He kind of says, I'm willing to part way this much, and this is what you got, so go race.
What my wife will let me do, or
Right,
what
right.
my threshold is, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can fill in that gap with sponsorship. But if not, he employs.
Do you get
50
the everybody's
people
a
and-
salesman speech?
Hmm?
Do you get the everybody's a salesman speech? It's probably more for the 9-to-5 jobs, but like whenever you're at a small business outside of motorsports, it's very common for everybody that works at that company to be like, look, everyone's a salesman, which is sort of the first sign that your company's about to go under. We learned this because then they contract us to make a video and don't pay us. But do you get a little bit of that with a team like that they're looking to you to quarterback some of the sponsorship, that sort of thing?
I think that's a natural thing as a driver.
Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
It's just like that's just part of your job.
Yep.
And as long as if you got half a brain in you, then you know that you need to take care of these sponsors.
Right.
You need to kind of try to find new ones, and
Do your part.
I don't do as much of like sponsor pitching as I used to do. I've over the past few years, I've really focused on just cultivating relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
and just watching them kind of.
Yeah.
You just kind of seed them and then watch them harvest, and I mean, I've had sponsorship deals and things like that come together in the past year that took 3 years.
Yeah.
Sort of just.
I and it's hard to be. I mean, I'm fortunate of being able to drive for someone like Bob Jenkins, where there's the urgency to find sponsorship, but then also, I can focus on driving, and I can focus on harvesting these relationships
Right.
that I've built over the past few years, so that you're not pressuring people to give you money.
Right. You're in a secure
And then you're also
program.
not coming up with some crappy program for them
Yeah.
that's going to end up bad for everybody.
And you're saying,
Yeah.
I need to check now if it's going to
Right,
be real.
exactly.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
I feel like I have a handful of people that I've worked on for years that when the timing's right, I can call them up and be like, hey,
Right.
I need
I have
you
a
for
thing.
this.
Yeah.
You know,
I know
and,
that works.
and this is going to work well. And those are the deals that actually happen.
Yeah.
So we gotta, if you're cool with this, we gotta go down the other road, which is in IndyCar and road racing. We have a lot of these stories. I have to imagine the NASCAR world is 10 times worse. Is the guy who's got a sponsor and it was never real to begin with, and he just wanted to talk you into lunch a couple times.
Oh, there's thousands of those.
Yeah.
It's called Dinner with Racers. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Honestly, I go down every single one of those paths.
Because you kind of have to, though, don't you?
Yes, but I also
because you know they're fake.
Listen, man. Let me tell you something.
You're the guy that replies to the email that's like, I need 10 grand to get out of this country.
Hey.
And you're like, okay, where do I send it?
Dear info at Landon Cassill.
Let me tell you something, though. For every guy that runs his mouth about having a $3 million sponsor,
Yeah.
those guys are always charismatic. They always run their mouths.
Sure.
They always jump at the first chance to do something.
Sure.
And they can always come up with 50 grand if you need it. So for every guy that's told me that he has $1 million,
Right.
he's at least come up with 50 grand
Okay.
once.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Still
You're
go
like,
down.
okay, he's my one-off.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
these are the one-offs.
Do you go down the road knowing you're going to be entertained, though?
Or just knowing that you're like kind of like this guy's full of it. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's like, all right, let's see where this goes.
I entertain those deals a lot of times because I just want to hear, like they all believe it. You know what I mean? So like I want to hear what's going on, and it helps me kind of put
Give me
together.
the crazy. Give me the crazy.
You know, it helps me kind of put together what you've got, and some of them are just so blatant that you're just like,
So-
I know this. I mean, the first time they say energy drink, then you know that it's like
Right,
a
right,
BS deal.
right.
Like
Yeah.
if like there are trigger words, right? Energy drink, distribution,
We've
you
had
know,
this conversation.
synergy.
Yeah.
Right.
Synergy, organic.
right? Like
It's going to be like Facebook, but for racing.
right,
That was
yeah,
a-
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
Had
a real
call?
pitch you got.
Yeah.
Facebook for
But
racing.
for racing.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Yeah.
As soon as they start talking about like distribution or retailers or whatever, then you know that it's like, okay.
This isn't real. Right. As
I
soon
mean,
as they
I
get their funding.
actually I had a deal once that it was a throwaway product that they made for 39 cents and sold it for $12, and it was the most perfect thing ever. And if we could get them into Menards, it would be the biggest deal ever.
Right.
Right.
And we literally got them in Menards. It happened,
Right.
Right.
and they could not produce the order.
No.
Like couldn't produce the order. Like
Like they got the PO and
Like,
everything.
yeah, like they just couldn't
couldn't make
fulfill
the
it.
20,000
Like their
units.
supplier, and but the funny thing is, like, I learned a lot about the supply chain through that experience.
sure.
Like on the surface, you see this guy with a product and the branding and it's in your hands. I'm holding the product, right, and I
Right.
see how it works.
Right.
I see the branding, and he tells me, man, if we sell 5 million of these, and we'll be able to have $2 million to go into racing. And it's like, oh, perfect. Oh, if I could get into Menards and only have one SKU in each Menards around the country, would
Right.
be. And it's like, wow, okay. And we worked our tails off, and we got him into Menards. And they did a test order, and he had to provide like a couple thousand units for the test order, right? So he provided the units, and they sold out, right? And it was just like, okay, we're ready
Let's
for
go.
a real order.
Yeah, 30
We
million.
need,
Right.
we need 300,000 units. And he was like,
Couldn't do it.
guy goes disappeared, right? Like could not produce 300,000 units, and it was just like, okay, I just learned a lesson on how to properly scale your company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so. The guy the
Yeah.
whole time sent us on a mission that he knew, like
That he
There's
couldn't
no way I'm
fulfill.
at
gonna
the
be
end
able
of
to
the
do
day,
this.
like you knew that
Or he
in the
maybe
back
just
of the
didn't-
mind, he was scared to death to get that business.
Right.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he
Like
knew
it's
he-
going really well. He's like, oh,
right,
It's
right,
real.
like,
meeting
oh,
went
fuck.
great.
Yeah.
No.
How am I gonna call this? Like, I'm sure, like in reality, the place in China that was making them was like probably some one-man shop.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
could only
He
churn
just
out
couldn't do
50
it.
units a day.
Right.
I got a guy that I call Bob the Hustler, and he just like,
I'm already in on Bob the Hustler.
like, oh, I know, he's
We're
the
getting
best.
him.
Yeah.
We're
he's
getting
next.
him for the
He's
show.
next. Is he
I
available
can't
tomorrow?
tell you how many $10 million sponsors I've pitched with Bob
With
the
Bob the
Hustler.
Hustler.
Right.
But you know what? He's brought me 150 grand worth of deals.
All right.
Yeah,
See,
so-
no.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, yeah, he'll call me tomorrow and probably tell me he's got it in at Apple, right?
Right.
And-
I got this new startup kid.
right,
Yeah.
right. Like Google is going
Called
to sponsor us.
Hewlett-Packard.
Right.
Right. But it's 150 grand you didn't have. So
Yeah, I mean,
So we have a couple of investment potential opportunities for you.
No,
But
we
one
got
of
you
which-
here.
One of which, Lally and I have talked about this. I don't know if you've ever been on this conversation,
don't
but Lally and Potter and I have talked about this. I want to develop a convention for these guys,
Oh,
but
yeah,
not
we've
let them
talked-
in
yeah,
on what
you've
it
told me
is.
about
Like
this. Yeah.
it's going to be a marketing convention, and all we invite is all these guys, and we just put them in one room and we record the conversation just to hear them fillet each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Just the
Um,
whole.
we-
No. Let me tell you
Let
what
me
we're
tell you
going to
what's-
do.
yeah,
No.
exactly.
You don't know. Let me tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're listening, you're coming.
it'll all end up.
They would kill each
What'll
other.
come out of it is
I'm
you're
just
gonna
saying.
you're gonna end up with an energy drink guy,
Yep.
and then you're gonna end up with a guy that has a connection to Americrown or something like that.
It's,
Right.
It's good. Yeah, and
And-
boner pills. There's going to be boner
Right,
pills
there'll
in
be
there.
boner
Point.
pills in there, and essentially, by the time they finally break the ice with each other, they're gonna figure out with the bottom dollar in their heads, right? Because
Right.
there's no like the
Nothing
actual
here is
decision
tangible.
make the
Right,
actual
right.
decision makers are not here, and they're just gonna end up coming up with the bottom dollar that needs to be made, that can happen, and then they're gonna be able to say, oh man, and we can take this much off the top.
Right.
Right.
Yep. That's it. That's it.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we all pitch in. Just like, if already pitch in just a few $100.
We just have to rent a convention center, right? That's
no,
it.
we just rent like a hotel. We could rent a Ramada Inn ballroom.
Fair enough. Okay.
Ballroom at the Ramada Inn.
Yeah.
We just get these guys all together. I would be entertained, and it's for me.
Oh, well, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
My judge of like these kinds of meetings was always who picks up the check.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
100%
cool.
agree with you.
Right.
Yeah. I do the exact same
These
thing.
guys like get so excited about getting you out to dinner
Yeah.
and this person's super interested
Yep.
and we need to get you in touch, and they go out there and like they're the ones that orchestrated it.
Yeah.
And the check comes and you're like,
Ooh.
What are we doing?
Ooh.
because
Yeah.
right.
one of two things. If the prospect picks up the check, then you know it's maybe a serious thing.
Yeah.
If
Or
the
they at least
hustler
have-
picks up the check, then you know, hey, he's kind of an upstanding guy, right?
Right.
He recognizes that. If the hustler doesn't pick up the check, then you know he's a schmuck, which we knew that anyways, but it's
Right.
just fun to confirm,
You're
right?
right. Now I see it. Yeah. Okay, so you've gotten to drive a lot of paint schemes in your career.
Paint schemes.
What was the most embarrassing one?
Embarrassing.
You're
Not
like,
embarrassed of anything.
Dick boner pills again. Like, there had to be something where you're like, I don't want to put that suit on. Can I wear the
mean,
black suit?
What about the Governor Rick Perry?
The bir-
You drove a Governor Rick Perry car.
yeah.
He did burnouts out of a tent for
We
it.
had a Trump car. And it was.
Did you
Yeah,
really get a
see?
Trump car?
See?
No.
Oh.
It would be cool to like have like a Hillary car or a Bernie car. Feel the burn.
Feel the burn.
Boom.
There you go.
I had a pink Burger King pink smoothies car, and that generates a lot of attention.
Sure.
The oh man, I'm trying to think of the name. The wildfire camo car that I drove. Do you
Yeah.
remember
Was
that?
that like not that long ago?
It wasn't too long ago. A couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I always felt like, wow, this is really on brand. Like, you know, like,
Hi, I'm Landon Cassill. When I'm murdering animals,
right, like,
Yeah.
I don't always dip my guns in wrapped camo, but when I do, I use wildfire camo.
I don't think we covered it, but like, I mean, you're a devout vegan, and you did a whole year with BK Racing. Is there-
Burger
with
King.
the Burger King owned group.
That was before my vegan prowess.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it wasn't quite the conflict.
No, but my wife was at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So what caused the, or maybe cause isn't the right word, but what
But
what happened to you? No.
it's not a choice.
I was born this way. Okay.
Well, that's a crazy way we didn't know you were vegan because you didn't come out and announce it before you. ever
Yeah,
sat
you
down.
haven't forced it into my life yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Forced it into your life. For the record, you guys brought it up and asked.
That's no. Yeah.
All those jokes that are like, how do you know if there's a vegan around?
Don't worry, I'll f***ing tell you.
They'll tell you. The same goes for CrossFit or whatever.
Yeah.
My wife has been a vegetarian for a long time.
For
probably
health or
like 10
animal
years.
rights?
For health reasons.
Yeah.
Her grandmother died of colon cancer, and I guess when her grandmother got colon cancer, the doctor was like, well, she could eat less red meat.
Yeah.
And then my wife in college actually took a class that was called How Not to Die from Cancer, or How to Not Die from Cancer, something like that. And she says that the professor on the first day, the first thing the professor said was, just FYI, we're going to learn a lot in this class, but if you're a vegetarian, your chances of dying of cancer are cut by like 80%.
Just
And
letting you guys
so
know.
she was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so anyway, she's been a vegetarian for like 10 years. And when we were dating, she wasn't vegan. Like, really, the only thing from being vegan for her was like cheese, because wine and cheese is a very nice thing to blend. not in a blender, but like eat together. Same
Livery?
time,
What
like-
does livery mean?
Thanks for clarifying there.
So, anyways, I would I'm kind of a bottomless pit when it comes to food,
Okay.
and so her policy at home was like, I'm not gonna cook you any meat or anything. You're eating, like, you can either make your own food or you just eat what I make.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So she started eating really healthy at home, and we never had cheese in the house. We never had dairy in the house, so we're pretty much eating vegan at home. And then we'd go out to dinner and we'd have cheese or whatever. There's cream on our food or something. And then I'd go on the road and I'm like eating Chick-fil-A and whatever.
Right.
And then I really started training for triathlons and stuff, and I kind of could start to feel a difference on how I felt between when I'm eating crappy food and when I'm eating food that my wife makes.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest reason that I probably became vegan is because I can't half-ass anything. And so, like, I'm not one of those people that can, like, eat healthy, but then not, like, I can't
It's one or the other.
do cheat days. Like I told you, like, how we're going to, like, reset our...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because I've been eating like this,
Yeah.
Right.
and I'm pointing at, you know, a cinnamon pretzel and a pint of beer.
Right.
Like, this is how I've been eating for a couple months now. And, like, I've been a junk food vegan
Right.
for months.
You've
And
been
I've-
Andy Lally for a few months.
Right.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
Oreos and French fries.
Right.
Yeah,
Oreos and
100%
French
true,
fries.
yeah.
Right. It's vegan.
Yeah.
So, so anyways, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna eat healthy or have this healthy lifestyle, I'm going all the way. So I like
Sure.
went full plant-based and just and felt great.
So the pass-along question for you will be Max Jones, who is at Ganassi now. We have breakfast with him tomorrow morning. If you could ask Max Jones anything at all, what would it be?
Oh man, if I could ask Max Jones,
If you maybe,
anything in the
if you
world.
might get to meet him one day, but if not, you can reference
right,
us.
right.
Yeah.
If I could ask him anything, man. Wait, who passed along a question to me?
Marty Smith.
Marty Smith.
Oh, okay, that was the got it. I was like, man, is Marty like pitching in questions for all your interviews? Okay, now I get it.
It's the Marty Smith.
I'd be
That's
okay with that.
such an
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Original
He's good at his
idea,
show.
like you didn't steal that from Jeff Gluck's.
We
12
totally
questions.
stole it from Jeff Gluck. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, did we really?
No, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
a common thing that people do. But
You're just like,
I don't know.
he's like, what? What?
wait, are we getting sued? You didn't
So
get
what
that
do you
email?
guys know
Add it
about
to my-
Max Jones?
He used to have a sweet mullet. He used to road race. He
Yep.
won the Daytona 24 Hours. He won the Sebring 12 Hours. He was teamed with Calvin Fish and Robbie Gordon. He worked at Roush for a while. He's
Yep.
got the nickname Max the Axe because he doesn't take bull. If he doesn't like it, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's
our-
not very good at shuffleboard because I played him in it like 2 years ago at a Christmas party. Smoked him.
I want to ask him. And this is a very particular. How much longer are you gonna do this? And when he says, "Well, what do you mean?" You say, "I don't know." How much longer are you gonna do this? And let him answer it. Let him tell you that he wants to work, or let him tell you that he's I don't know, whatever it is.
Wherever
or
it goes.
whether he's
Let
gonna-
him define his
let
own
him
direction.
define what this is.
Sure.
Whether
Cool.
he wants to run a race team forever or morph into something else or whatever. I'm curious and I guess where that comes from is you take, you just listed off an entire, like, I've known Max for almost 10 years and I feel like he has a career in the industry in the 10 years that I've known him.
Yeah.
And that is an entire career separated from the
From all
career
the
you
stuff you
just
just listed.
described.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I haven't, in my career, hasn't even scratched the surface. If I just equivalated myself to what he's done in the
Right.
racing industry, like, you would have to say Landon Cassill was a Sprint Cup driver until 2020, and then he became
Right,
worked
the
for
head of
NASCAR
this guy.
corporate and
Yeah.
worked his way up to vice president, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
whatever. I
Right.
mean, like, so I'm kind of curious where he sees the rest of his career going.
On that note, you guys spend years together, and you're all, everybody knows secrets about everybody else, and yet somehow that manages to never find its way into the public. You've driven against Johnny O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that it's never gotten out that he tried to murder Dario Franchitti?
Did he try to murder Dario Franchitti? I didn't know that.
So 2009, you went to Goodwood and drove Jeff Gordon's car up the hill, and you got awarded driver of the event.
Yes.
And there's everybody from Formula One drivers to rally stars and the whole 9 yards, and you get it. Some kid from Iowa.
Yeah.
Why?
I can only imagine it was for one of two reasons.
Great hair.
Okay, 3 reasons. Great hair. Number 2, they just wanted more Americans to come in the future, so they figured they'd give an American an award.
No. No.
Definitely not that.
No.
I did some really kick-ass burnouts
Yeah.
at the event, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think that they really hadn't had like stock cars there up until that point, and so I just started like, they're hearing this big V8 900 horsepower Sprint Cup car, Jeff Gordon's number on the side of it.
Yeah.
The guy kind of looks like Jeff Gordon, so that's cool. And but I just parked it on the front lawn and just started doing burnouts, and on my runs up the hill,
Yeah.
and took my steering wheel off and like hung it out the door
While doing a burnout.
while doing the
Yes,
burnout. Yeah. There's
yes.
some video footage on YouTube, and it got everybody pretty pumped up and
Yeah.
excited. So that was I think that might have been why I
Yeah.
won driver of the event.
Did you meet anybody there that was like kind of put you in awe of the whole event, or like just who you get to
Dude,
meet?
I mean, I don't know if you've ever.
I've
been to
never been. I
Goodwood,
really want to
Yeah.
go.
But like we were treated really well while we were there, so I got to sit at all the intimate dinners.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I sat between Dan Gurney and Jackie Ix
Jesus.
at dinner,
Yeah.
and like the two of them just like.
Right.
You know,
right. Like, what's
like,
happening?
Big
Like,
old blank
oh
smile.
my
no
God.
clue.
Like high fives? No. Okay. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
And then Sir Jackie Stewart came over to me once and was like introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and then he was like, "You drive a Chevrolet?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, someday you'll be good enough to drive a Ford." And like, what do you say when Jackie Stewart tells you that? Like,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, sir, I
Yes,
know I'm
yes,
wrong.
Sorry.
This is terrible.
Sorry. Yes.
you, Jackie.
Sorry. Yeah. Suck it.
you, Jackie Stewart.
Are you as big of a fan of the Austin Dillon victory celebration as we are? And what I mean by that is not a specific thing, but the fact it keeps going.
Man, all respect to Austin Dillon, but I don't know his victory celebration.
Oh.
Has he won?
Xfinity.
Xfinity.
Xfinity,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
thinking
Oh.
like I know he's pretty good and everything, but like,
Did I miss a race that I was in? Did I miss one of my
didn't see
races?
him win.
Did I miss
So
my
no,
race?
we have great entertainment
What
watching
does
him.
he do?
That's the thing. What doesn't he do? Is a better question. So he starts with a slide.
He does it.
He does
Yeah,
a
he's
slide.
doing the
He
dab
does a
now.
slide.
He does the dab. He's got the
He
head
does
first
the head
belly
first,
flop slide.
Head flop. He does like bullhorn, whatever that is. The belly flop.
The belly
slide.
flop one is pretty dumb. I think that's. I
And
think that's.
It's important to point out that we're
legit
not
stupid.
not
I think
fans of
the-
Austin Dillon.
I
Yeah,
think the dab was a bad call because that's just too trendy. But like, I guess here's the thing. Where I could like buy into and just support this idea of like all these is if he can get to a point in his career where he's winning so much like Kyle Busch caliber,
Right.
and just almost like it's touchdown dances.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate flex.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
But do you think he needs 17 elements?
I'm not hating on Carl Edwards
Right.
because he's
Bigger than
he's
us.
legit and he's bigger than me and he's won a lot of races. But like, you know, when you win 2 races a year or whatever, and your thing is a backflip, and everybody knows you're gonna do a backflip, and it's like, if he was winning 20 races a year, people would get tired of doing backflips. So it's like
Right.
it'd be the ultimate flex to be like, yo, I win so much that
Yeah.
I have to come up with these different victory dances.
Right.
So Kyle Busch should have,
Yeah, every
Just
time should be
17
something different for him.
yeah, just as much as like a quarter or a wide receiver that scores 4
Because right now he's
touchdowns
got
a
the
game.
bow, right, Kyle?
He just does a bow.
He's
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
bowed,
yeah, yeah.
but he wins
Takes
so
it
much
off.
that it's like, I came up with something different. I got tired of doing the last thing.
Yeah.
Like that's like total flex.
Right. It's not that we don't like Austin Dillon. It's that it's like, dude, just stop with the
Well-
like. He's got too many things. He's got the cowboy hat with manicured eyebrows. I don't like that. You can't be a
Pick one.
cowboy and then be like, yeah, I'm
In Green
at
Bay.
Barney's today.
Like
Like I've never seen
me
you rocking
and Paul
it
Menard were making fun of him this Sunday.
for
Just all of his manscaping.
conflicts.
too much
Okay.
shit. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't be the Maverick guy with the fucking Maverick helmet, which you shouldn't do anyway because you're not Maverick. Like win something first. Like a lot of things first. Like Kyle Busch can do the Maverick thing. You're like, do whatever you want, dude. Manicured eyebrows and a cowboy hat are not That doesn't happen.
Maybe he's just finding himself. Maybe
He is, but like just
he's-
be Austin Dillon.
He's getting close.
Just be Austin Dillon.
He's getting closer to being
Final product.
like he's getting there. He's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, but the cowboy hat thing, yeah. Like I don't know.
What are you doing?
I
You're
don't
not
know.
a cowboy. Stop it. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
like I'm with you on the cowboy stuff, and I'm not into cowboy hats, so I'm
Right.
gonna forever judge someone that wears cowboy hats. So if you wear cowboy hats and you're listening and you're like, yo, Landon's a douche because he's making fun of my cowboy hat, just understand that it's because I don't get it. Like I'm not a big
right.
Like if you now here's the thing though, if you're like a rancher and you actually
Yes.
Well, yeah,
lasso-
you need protection from the sun.
right and
Yeah,
you,
correct.
That makes sense.
and you wear cowboy hats and
Right.
you waltz into like some place
If you ride a horse to work,
with your
Yeah.
pressed Wranglers and a belt buckle like this because you own 40,000 acres in Texas
Right.
and
do your thing.
you know and you have a cowboy hat that like has been passed down in generations.
You
Yeah.
be you.
That's
sure.
dope.
Cool. If
Like,
it came
that
out
is-
of if it came out of a box this morning, and then you also waxed your eyebrows, and then
And
put on
like
like
you're
Chanel
sponsored
sunglasses.
by the company that makes the cowboy hats.
Stop!
Like,
Just
that's
stop!
cool.
I don't know what we're going for here. Just be a dude.
But
Like
he's
if he was just a dude, I'd be so much more in.
so his beard game is getting thick.
It's getting out of control.
and that's what Paul and I were talking about, and I was like, I think this is implanted. Like, I think this fake. And
It's getting beard plugs.
and so Austin, I don't know if he heard us. I can't remember. I know that I said it out loud, intending for him to hear. I did tell Austin 2 weeks ago that I would totally go to a barber with him, and like just get cut and like razored and everything.
right, eyebrows.
Like, yeah, eyebrows, whatever. Like I would do it. Like I told Austin, I'm like, dude, if you ever want to go to a barber and like go to Atlanta and go to like,
Right.
a real barber and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
like a fade
Yeah.
and like and razored and get the
So
lines.
it's, I mean, we're
cut
talking like a
inside.
barber where like Eddie Murphy's playing every character.
right,
right, exactly.
Okay.
That
but
kind
it's
of barber.
Richard Childress. It's Richard Childress playing every character.
The slide, I don't like the slide,
No.
but I mean,
It's see, to me, it's not that there's a slide or a bull dance or a fucking whatever. It's that they're all together. He just keeps adding to the repertoire every time
like
he
he
wins.
does the slide, then
Yeah.
he gets up and he does the
Like,
dance and then he
they're-
dabs.
Yeah, they're literally taking commercial breaks, coming back, and he's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a motorhome, right?
No,
Every NASCAR driver has a motorhome though, and has a jet and makes millions of dollars.
except for me.
Except for you.
Yeah.
So you every weekend stay in a hotel near the track. Who else is doing that you wouldn't expect? Like Blaney just got a motorhome.
Is that like the class system of NASCAR? Is like you're a trailer guy or you're not?
Well, I remember like Keselowski had a small one, like not that long ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. He didn't have like this crazy
and he's had
bus.
his trailer a little. I mean, he's had his trailer for a few years now. I don't know. I mean, I'd say like probably DiBenedetto and a few of the younger, Josh Wise doesn't take a motorhome.
Right.
I don't know. My wife and I just decided that's not how we want to spend
It's
our
a lot of
money,
money,
I guess.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive. I mean, you guys know that game, I'm sure. Except sporty car guys, they're all rich enough to bring motorhomes. So
Yeah, it's so
Not true.
You are so far off.
Yeah, we have a
You
Honda
are the-
Odyssey.
You are the anti like sports car fan. Like they're all rednecks. You're like they're all rich. Like
Like,
no,
yeah.
no, you live here.
we just do the hotel thing. My wife and I rented a motorhome probably 5 times this year,
Right.
and that was nice. But it's not. We didn't go all. I guess to really get the most out of the motorhome, you take it to every race, and it's your motorhome, and you have an entire wardrobe on it, and your wife has all of her cooking stuff on it, and and it's like you don't even pack a bag. And so, even though we took a motorhome to 5 races, and that was nice, we also had to pack a bag, and we had to bring the car seat and the strollers and all the things that are involved with traveling with a kid. And so it wasn't that much of a convenience, other than it's just nice to have them at the track with me.
Right.
But I kind of enjoy the traveling and the hotel stuff. And
Okay.
I mean, I stay at nice hotels because I've been traveling for long enough that I'm tired of staying at crappy places.
Yeah.
So if the team is not staying anywhere nice, I book my own room and they reimburse me,
Right.
the difference of what they were paying. And
Yeah.
we got a lot of cool places that we stayed. We stayed at the Trump in Chicago. That was cool.
Nice.
We stay
Quinta.
The La Quinta in
La
Daytona.
Quinta. La Quinta.
Did you do the Daytona La Quinta?
I've stayed at the Daytona La
We
Quinta.
do this every Rolex 24. That's my jam.
That's your
Because it's across the street. Like, I like it because it's literally right there.
And you eat
just
at the
go through
wing
back
house
street.
every night, don't
Yeah,
you?
they do.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's
pervert.
pretty common.
Whose plane do you fly on?
The team charters, or there's actually a handful of teams that kind of go
Right.
together and charter.
For sporty car fans, they don't know how that works.
Oh, because you guys
at
probably
all.
fly commercial everywhere.
Yeah.
Or drive. you
Yeah,
know.
I guess.
Yeah.
So there's just kind of a charter service that like 5 or 6 different teams, they all bring.
So it's
so
not
many
like a
people.
front row plane. It's just you're
No,
using
we
the same
fly on a
service,
737.
Thank
There's
you.
probably 150 people on it.
Yeah, and they're
And-
all team. Like it'll be crews from each team
Right.
and mechanics and
So
drivers.
I
and-
think our plane is typically the Roush and front row teams.
Yeah.
And that fills up almost 200 people.
Right.
On one plane, and then I think the other 737 is, I think JTG flies on it. I think, like MRN, their
Yeah.
broadcast team.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
10 people. I think NASCAR sends probably 10 or 15 officials. I think it's kind of a conglomerate effort.
Does it break into cliques where you're like sitting with these guys, or is it?
They have
or is it-
assigned seating on it.
Oh, they do to
Mhm.
avoid that.
Yep.
Interesting. I like that.
So the teams all kind of sit together.
Who's kind of your clique?
Yeah. Who's
My
the
clique?
Yeah. at track click?
Who's your posse?
Probably Josh Wise.
Yeah, because you guys
hang out
both do
with
like
Jay
the travel.
Weezy.
You guys do the triathlons together.
Yeah, we
and
do the
things like
triathlons
that.
together. So we actually stay together a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jay
kind of
Weezy.
bromance on the weekends.
It's cool.
It's nice.
So we have a smoke. We have a rowdy. What's the Landon Cassill like nickname we need to have?
Well, Sean came up with a nickname for you on the way here.
I actually don't remember.
Oh, your favorite Star Wars character.
Oh, yeah, duh. We've been saying it for like
Lando
an hour.
Calrissian.
Well,
Yes.
well, no.
Lando Calrissian.
Calrissian.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So apparently this is not the first time you've heard this.
I think my mom called me Lando Calrissian back when I was a kid.
God damn it. All right.
Well,
I can
that's
have
the end of the
mom.
show.
Yep.
Yeah, we're done. No more podcast.
Have you ever complained that pro football players make more money than you?
Yes.
You have. Okay.
Well,
Damn
gosh,
it.
they make so much money.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
All right. No.
I think it's
No,
more
you've
like
killed it.
I think
It's
it's
over.
No,
Forget it.
I
We're done.
think the funny thing
Cottonelle's
is
got the check.
when it comes to the different sports and stuff is like I think one of the great punchlines was like, and you got this clown in LA that just sold his basketball team for $2 billion.
Right.
And yet a NASCAR team is only worth, the sheet
Yeah,
metal
whatever
that's
it's
in the
built on,
shop.
yeah.
Exactly. We
I don't care
we
about
lose our
football
minds
players.
every time we see somebody complaining about that.
About football players making more
Making
money.
more money, especially like you don't see so much in NASCAR because it's slightly healthier economically, but but like IndyCar drivers are the most notorious for it.
Oh, complaining about
complaining
football
about
players.
like
Yeah,
what
like,
we're risking our lives and going 230.
and this guy's making millions of dollars with an injury, and I'm risking my life. And it's like,
It's like yeah, and you knew that when you signed up. So what do we do?
And there's a line of guys out the door
Also,
that are happy to do that.
Nobody
Yeah.
watches.
We know.
That's exactly
We
the
know.
argument. This is why I
Yeah.
get so annoyed. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the business reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I-
such. I mean,
I saw it-
football is such a good business model, right? For everything. I mean, we really could be that business model if everything was a collective group. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
if the owners and the teams owned all of the product, and
Right.
which that's not what our sports were built off of. I mean, we were built off this like capitalist business model.
Yeah. With a very
Where-
clear leadership.
Yeah, where it's a a democracy, and we're not really a democracy, but I think capitalist is maybe a better description.
Right.
Where, you fight for your food in our sports, and the strong survives, and the weak
Right.
don't, and
All right. Last thing. You had your wisdom teeth removed earlier this year.
that's the last. That's what you've been waiting this
This
whole
is-
time.
Yep.
This is
like
all
that is what
3
you want
hours
to
to
talk
get to
about.
this
When you
point.
walked in, the first thing I thought was like,
You're like,
oh,
I'm gonna
finally.
save this one. This is
finally.
the biggest. This is the atomic bomb that I'm gonna.
All right, what the do you want to talk about?
No, let's hear it. Yeah, let's talk about my wisdom teeth. Oh, I put it on Periscope. It was
All right.
funny.
Yeah. So, the end. Cottonelle's got the check. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Wow, I'm sure some of your sporty car fans don't know about the story. Let's tell it.
That's correct, asshole. So Jesus, I can't wait till you have a podcast.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be like listening to every episode, like I'm writing that one. Down. I'm writing that one
I
down.
liked you before I came, but now I fucking love you. Hands down, my favorite driver
I
in
told my
NASCAR.
wife that I was gonna do that before,
Yeah.
and
That
she
you were
was
gonna
like,
Periscope Pete.
"Well, the best part was I don't think she thought I was serious.
Well, I don't think people know what we're talking about here. So
Okay,
you
yeah,
got
yeah.
your wisdom teeth
I got my
pulled.
wisdom teeth out,
this year.
and then this year, yes,
Yeah.
and okay. Let's just tell you what I executed, right?
Okay.
Got my wisdom teeth out. It was inpatient surgery, but they put me under it all or whatever, all
Yeah.
that stuff is, and then, or they call that outpatient.
It's outpatient.
Yeah,
Outpatient,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Outpatient, but they put you under, and then I periscoped the next 30 minutes of my life.
When you came out.
Within 15 minutes of being
Yeah,
woken
coming
up.
out of the hospital, sure.
So, anyways, I told my wife I was gonna do that beforehand. I was like, I think I'm gonna periscope this. That's what I'm gonna do after.
right, right.
And I don't think she thought I was serious because she was just like, "That's a dumb idea. You shouldn't do that." And then and nothing ever happened of it. And I don't because I know that she would have like pushed me harder not to do it.
Right.
And but we had the baby at home, and so she wasn't really gonna give me a ride, and it was only an hour thing. It was like you had to be there 7, and you're done at 8:30 or something.
Yeah.
And so I just asked my neighbor, like, "Hey, are you free between 7 and 8 because I could get my wisdom teeth taken out?" So he's like, "Yep, I'll give you a ride." So he took me there, dropped me off, waited, and the funniest thing is like my phone was locked out because they woke me up
Okay.
and handed me my phone because I told them like, "Hey, I've got my phone on me. Oh yeah, we'll take that." And then they must have woke me up and said, "Hey, Landon, wake up, whatever. And here's your phone." By the time I was even coherent, my phone was locked out because I couldn't type in my password.
Oh, you didn't know how
Like,
to get
I
it
kept
out.
know what
typing in the
numbers
wrong
were.
password.
Right.
Yep. And so I actually, to the point that I had to wait 15 minutes
For the clarity.
for it to clear.
Yeah.
And finally I got it opened up and I fired up Periscope and off we went.
I'm amazed you had the coherency to do it, though. You make no sense during the entire process, but the fact that you were able to actually press record or press broadcast.
Yeah,
and
I think I had just come down enough that I was able to get that
Right.
fired up.
If you go on YouTube, NASCAR Chasm did a top 10 best moments of
That's
Landon
good
Cassill.
content.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious. So you're just talking gibberish. You walk in, your wife's still in bed.
Right.
And you're like,
Yep.
hey! And she's like, no.
Get me
don't-
outta here."
Don't
Yeah.
do this.
Yep.
That is not NASCAR behavior. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what
Yep.
Casey
Why
Kane's
doesn't
going to
anybody
be.
take me seriously?
Why can't I get what I want? Thanks for coming and sitting down with us.
Thank you.
The all the you're doing, like, I'm an idiot. I'll laugh at anything, but Sean's like very picky about what
I'm
he
a
thinks
comedy
is
snob,
funny.
as you've pointed out
He is.
multiple times on this trip.
He is, and he's like, "Did you see what Landon posted?" I'm like, "You don't even check Twitter." He's like, "I know, but look," and he'll like show me
That's funny,
something.
man.
So please keep doing what you're doing. I think hopefully this episode will kind of bridge the gap from the quote sporty car group to the NASCAR group, because I hate the fact
I
that
can't really say on the podcast what we actually call you guys, but yeah,
Hey.
go ahead.
Oh no, please do.
I'm
we'll
just
we'll
kidding.
bleep it. We'll bleep it. I want to know. I want to know.
Am I right?
It's so easy. It's so fun to make sporty car guys the butt of a
Yeah,
joke.
okay, and we wonder
Which
why
is-
sports car fans get
wow.
elitist about NASCAR when they're called
Okay,
goddamn
cool.
sporty
maybe
cars.
now this whole episode's useless. He's in that one last thing. Oh yeah, no, we hate you guys.
We all know that you guys have more money than us, so it's okay.
You need to let go of that right now. That needs to
They're
end.
all rich. All
Nope,
those doctors that you
100%
bring
not
into
true.
the
No,
sport.
no, no. Okay, so think about it like this.
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, he doesn't
He's
race
out.
anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't? Is he out?
He's
Well,
gone.
he's out.
He's gone.
Why?
Well, so now we know this is getting cut out.
Yeah, this is definitely not staying in. None of it can
Oh,
anyway.
now we talk about your stuff. and things
yeah,
get cut
welcome to my show.
Yeah, yeah.
out. Yeah.
Are you going to edit this?
You can come out to California in November
I've
if
been
you
recording the whole time. I plugged into the thing over here.
want. Oh man, that's terrible.
Are you bigger than this podcast?
Are you bigger than this podcast, Landon?
That's funny.
All right, Continental's got the check.
Thanks, Continental, for dinner.
I'm finished.
Wow, that was such a great episode. That guest really knew how to tell a story.
Did you like that, Lando Calrissian, Ryan? I know you did. And thanks for sitting here with me as we edited it.
You're welcome, Sean. I'm right here.
Shout out to Landon. I absolutely love that guy, and I look forward to when he rips off our podcast and makes it huge with his NASCAR folks. So, all right, in honor of Landon, I want to play something a little bit fun. Want to do something to sort of pay homage to his Midwest roots. So here's a band that I like quite a bit called Earthworm Ensemble, and their big hit, Corn.
Corn, good for you, corn. It's good for you, corn. Corn, corn is good for you. If you take the train to the edge of town, there's a new farmer's market with trucks and trailers and tamales and a clown. Mommy and daddy and sister too. It's a hot summer blue sky afternoon. Now you pick out the carrots, pick out the beans from the farmer and his daughter and a worker named Jean. If the farmer's got corn and he says it's sweet and he picked it this morning, then you're in for a treat. When you get home, it's corn tonight. Here's a crazy little recipe for cooking it right. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, let's go. Bring it to a boil, put the corn in the pot, turn it off. Turn it off. Leave it in the pot for a minute or two. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Corn is good for you. Corn. Green corn. Red corn. Blue corn. Little bitty corn. Great big corn. Corn, corn. Corn is good for you. Corn, good for you, corn. It's good for you,